Go ahead.
Good evening. Welcome to the Historical Commission. We have a double header tonight. Ooh, must have been a rain out. This is May 14, and we're going to open with the public hearing. We have 2 demo requests on board, so we're going to get those right off the top of our agenda. And let's start. The first one, we'll do 144 Scofield Ave. And we have Wesley Pettit, correct?
Correct.
All right. Sit up in the chair. And we're
Okay.
starting at 6:31. All right, we're here for 2 public hearings, and the good news about this is I'm going to explain why we have a public hearing and what it's all about while you're both in the room, so I don't have to do it twice. I don't ever get a twofer. This is just enjoyable. All right, we are the Historical Commission. We are required by bylaw, to look at every demolition in the town. It doesn't matter how big the structure, it has to come through a process where the town has officially, and that's through us in this specific thing, seen the structure, and go through a process where we evaluate what your request is all about. Now, the attempt is to avoid losing any assets in the town that might have historic value. And it doesn't happen often, but it does happen. And that's why there is a bylaw, and it's to prevent that. So what we're going to look at tonight is we're going to be considering whether or not your property is significant. Is that structure significant to the town? And there are 4 criteria for significance. First, is it on the National Register? I can assure you it is not, because there are only 2 properties in the town right now that are on the National Register, and they're not here tonight, thank God. The second, does it have historic importance? Did an event or a person live in it, or do something on that property that caused it to be of noteworthiness? Do people know about it? Have they for a long time? The third criteria is architectural importance. Was it designed and built? I've seen both properties, I know they weren't, by a renowned architect. You know, but there are properties in this town that are unique, either because of who built them, or when they were built, or where they were placed, in addition to historic stuff, or if they're typical of something that the town does not want to lose. And in this town, that's becoming housing for factory workers. We're losing a lot of old factory worker houses, and at some point we're going to be like, oops, we're down to just a few. The fourth one would be geographical importance. Is it situated somewhere? Is it an iconic view? Is it a structure that people go by all the time and would say, wait, what did you do with that? I've been to both properties. No one's ever been to either, I'm sure. But that's what we're going to be here to find out. So what we'll do is we've opened the public hearing. Right now we're doing 144 Scofield Ave. So that's the only public hearing we're having at the moment. We'll talk to you, the owner, about what you're planning to do. We may have questions from the board. You may have questions of us. And then at the end of that period, when we're happy that we've answered everybody's questions, then we'll close the public hearing, and we will vote on whether or not the property is significant. Okay? All right, so let's start. Introduce yourself, Wesley, and tell us what you're doing.
Yeah, Wesley Pettit. I live in town, 8 Eric Way. The property, 144 Scofield, is a self-storage center that I purchased the property 19 years ago and put a small self-storage facility there. When I purchased the property, it was not in any use. It was just being used as a storage shed, at that time even. But previously, it had been a machine shop, is what I was informed.
Oh.
And it certainly looked like it. It had a lot of electrical power and things of that nature in there. It is not on a foundation. It has vinyl siding. It is, has everybody seen it? Has anybody been by? Yeah, you're there all the time, or walking by all the time, yeah. But I have photos, if anybody wants to see the photos. You set the criteria, but, right, I don't think it has any significance for the town. I've already been approved by the zoning board to put new storage buildings there. But, once we get approval for the demolition.
Okay.
I guess that's it. To my knowledge, it was never residential. There's no
Right.
sign of it ever being residential.
Right.
Yeah.
I have seen the property. It is a storage facility off the ground, well, resting not on not even a slab, I think.
No.
It's just board. Questions? Yes. No questions? So you're just going to replace it with some new storage facilities there? Okay. All right. Any questions for us?
No? I don't have any.
That said, we will close the public hearing at 37. All right, I'm entertaining a motion.
I move that the structure at 144 Scofield Avenue is not found to be significant under the bylaw.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous. Okay, Wesley, have at it.
Okay.
Bring on that storage space.
Oh, can I still ask a question, though? Is there a waiting period after a public hearing?
No. I will get this over to the building department. I can't guarantee it'll be tomorrow morning, but it'll probably be tomorrow. So I'd say by Thursday, they'll know that you've been cleared.
Right.
And then you can go on with whatever. You don't have a backhoe revved up, I know,
I
because you've
don't.
got some valuable things to move there.
Yeah, okay.
Good.
Thank you.
All right. And good luck with your new units. All right, the second town public hearing, pardon me, is going to be 167 Klondike Road. Gentlemen, come on up. And we're going to open that at
6:38.
You got it? Okay. All right, so you've heard the spiel at the beginning. That was good. So now, tell us what you're doing.
We want to demo a shed at 167 Klondike Road.
Okay. And you're going to replace it with?
We're going to replace it with a bigger shed, basically.
Bigger shed.
Bigger shed.
Newer shed. And I so like the one that's there.
You like?
I thought it was really nice. It
Get a lot
looks
of
structurally
cheekbones.
sound.
No, it's not structurally
it's
sound
not.
whatsoever, no.
Oh, okay.
The bottom
looked-
2 feet are rotted.
Oh, well, it looked appropriate. It was blending into the scenery, I guess.
The brown blends in with the trees, it does. I'll agree with you there.
All right, so do you have any questions for the board?
We do not.
No.
The board, do you have any questions? I will say that it's right off of Pierpont Road. It's, in the day, would have been a lovely shed,
Oh, I have a question.
natural siding.
How long has that shed been there?
Since
You have any idea?
92, 93.
92 or 93. Yeah, it's relatively new. That's why I thought maybe structurally it didn't have any issues. I thought you just wanted something newer.
No,
Because you just
it's
bought the
rotted.
property, right?
Yeah, he just
Yeah,
bought
I
the
just
property,
bought it.
correct.
Yeah, and that's what I figured was going on. So, no surprises there. All right, any other questions?
No.
All right, we're done questioning. I'm going to close the hearing.
6:41. 6:41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41. 41
I move that the structure at 167 Klondike Road is not found to be significant under the bylaw.
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Have at it, gentlemen.
These were slam dunks, but we have to do it for everybody,
Yeah,
because if we don't, when we try and go to bat for something that's dear to our hearts,
yeah.
That's,
they will
You
get
could have
this
showed
all
up
in our
here
face.
in a late 1800s three-holer or something.
Yeah.
It would have been like, no. Very good. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
same thing, you'll probably get it to them tomorrow or Wednesday.
Yeah,
All right, Thursday.
by Thursday, it'll be in their hands and you'll be clear.
Excellent. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Have a great night. Thank you.
Have a good night.
Okay.
Okay, moving on. Let me talk about the financial update. I don't have minutes with me. You got minutes? Did we send minutes out? Did you get minutes? Did you ever see minutes?
I sent them to you.
Oh, well, that was always a mistake.
Well, I can't help that. I'm full of mistakes.
I'll forward them over to you. We'll just use them on the next month.
All right.
We do have some money in our accounts. We'll be working with Aura at the end of this time period for her. She retires
June 28th,
when?
June 28th,
Oh, that late?
yeah.
So that includes her time working after the election?
Mm.
Okay.
I don't know, she might have vacation accrued too, I don't know, but she's off the books on June 28th, she told me.
Okay. And we are going to miss her sorely. And there was a little get-together for her and Greg the other night by the town employee group. Nicely attended, I thought, you know. Kind of fun, kind of, oh, we're going to miss them, though. It's always difficult when there's a change and where we rely on that office to produce things for us, get the agendas up and to call me and say, Ed, you got the wrong month, or,
I did that.
you know, whatever the issue's going to be. Just another set of eyes.
She's taken care of all our registered letters and first-class letters to
Mhm.
applicants.
Yeah.
And hopefully the new person will too.
I'm sorry?
And hopefully the new person will too.
Well, we need
Whoever
to
that new
train the
person
new
is.
person, whoever it is, and we'll know in a month.
If I'm gonna work with them, I know all three, so
Yeah.
whoever it is.
Oh, well, good, because you will be working
Mm-hmm.
very directly with them. So that's good to know. I'd like to send a letter of
Appreciation.
appreciation, that's the good word, to both of them as they step out and away from here. So I'm entertaining a motion to send letters of appreciation.
I'll second. Oh,
You
I'll
can-
make the motion.
There you go. That's what
Making
I-
a motion to send the letters of appreciation to Greg and Aura.
Yeah. All right, second?
Second.
Everybody in favor?
Aye.
Greg
All
who?
right, we'll craft something.
Pardon my ignorance. Greg who?
Pardon?
Greg
Balcoonis?
Balcony.
Balcoonis. Okay.
Yeah, that,
Is that one G or two on Greg at the end?
is he what?
Does he spell it with one G or two for Greg?
I think one G.
One G, okay.
1G.
I think that's how I've seen it in the paper, you know. 1G.
Yeah. You know, Spartan. If you don't have to do more than that, don't do more than that.
You want me to draft them and send them to you?
I can't hear a thing from your end.
Do you want me to draft letters and send them to you?
That would be wonderful.
Got it.
I love that. I'm not used to that. You never did that for me.
Vote yeah.
Come on. Watch it.
Move on.
All right, we'll send those letters out. That'd be great. I also want to tell you that we have, I'll circulate this one. I don't have a copy. Didn't make a copy of this. This is a letter, a format that's going in our preserved documents in the first title page or flyleaf or wherever to be inserted explaining that we preserved these documents and the process that we went through, and to reference Mike's involvement and Aura's involvement, and how did we word that last piece? Financial involvement from the O'Connor family, which made a huge difference over the last few years for us. So we're going to
Which
have
O'Connor
this
family is this?
in O'Connor Insurance. We're going to,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, give them some recognition.
Yes,
And Mike.
It's the anonymous donor. And
Yeah. Now you did it. Everybody in the town, you seal your lips. It's a secret.
Well, we've got
Spend
about another 25K that the anonymous donor is committed for, so we're gonna have to work with whoever replaces Aura.
Yeah.
Nobody will ever replace Aura, but we're gonna have to.
Yeah, we'll get this all lined up. I think what we've established the last few years is a way to go through our finances with the town administrator, and then it gets funneled into the fall process, and it's all part of the workings now. It makes a big difference on us. Before, we used to have to get petitions, lots of signatures, fight for it on the town floor. We always won. Town folks have been extremely supportive of our efforts, so now it's pretty much in the deal. All right, so this will give a chance to shout out to the people that really did the work.
We had that town meeting where they voted to pass over an article, and we did a song and dance up there at the town meeting, and the town meeting supported us.
Big.
That was a major day. After that, everything fell right into line.
Well, I think the select board and the FAA realize they can have one view of things, but the town folks still weigh in at the end, and they know what's important. All right, historic district progress. I've got to tell you, I just had a tour yesterday, walking with the person that's going to do the graphics for us for the brochure, and I'm looking forward to that. I'm hoping she and I can kind of get on this quickly. I'd love to have it printed by the Strawberry Festival.
Upcoming?
Pardon?
Upcoming?
Upcoming.
Okay.
Yeah. Because there's not much to it. The narrative is pretty straightforward. It's just the layout of how the brochure would look. Would we use little houses in a row? Would we just have blocks representing houses? Do we only represent the houses we're talking about? So we have a few things graphically to
Grapple with.
yeah, it's always difficult when you get down to that end. The narrative piece is just a question of how we're going to feed it in. Are they all on the side? Do they just have arrows pointing to them? Do they have blocks under another thing? You know, whatever the choices that we feel is the easiest for somebody coming up to the town common to grab one, walk around and say, okay, I know where I'm standing and I know what I'm looking at.
Well, the graphic person should be a great guide to all that.
Oh, yeah. And she has the software to do it.
Oh,
And that's her background. So I'm looking forward to this. Up to this point, it's been like, but we looked at a couple of examples. Now she can try some stuff out.
Were
And
there any
she's
that
walked it.
appealed to you, of the examples? Were there any that particularly appealed to you?
It didn't make much difference to me, as long as you've got the information there and it's readily readable. You know, we're trying not to make it too long, but long enough so that it isn't just the date of the house. But there are names to most of these houses, and that's, I think, important to see. and the date, and the style of the house. If it's Greek Revival, we're telling that, or stick-built or something, so federal, colonial, and we'll have a little thing that explains briefly what those styles are, so they can refer, okay, that's what they're talking about here. Because there is a mixture up there. The most important stuff is the little pieces of history that go with each one. And the good news is now that we've got the town common laid out with narratives, you're already standing there getting kind of an orientation, and then this allows you to wander away and see what's not apparent right in front of you. So I think, and if we
Sounds
don't
good.
like it, we can redo it anytime we wish. It's like, okay, well, next time we'll change it.
At the risk of sounding stupid, which is always a risk, please do not use a realtor to designate house style. To a realtor,
No,
colonial is 5 years before the Civil War.
Right, yeah, no, these are determined by the two consultants,
Okay,
one from the state and one that we had hired. So they are in sync,
good.
telling it. So when they say stick-built, actually, we have to go back and make sure we are interpreting that correctly. A realtor would probably never say stick-built.
I wouldn't either, because stick-built is, well, it covers pretty much every wooden structure built from the ancient Greeks to
Well, you
1924.
don't have to worry about it too much now. The workload is
Done.
going down. In the past 20 years, certain people up there on the hill have demolished a lot of historic housing, stuff that was standing in 1861 where they could sit there and watch the nickel students doing close order drill after Fort Sumter.
Yeah.
All the way forward. We've lost
I know.
almost 10 houses now.
Yeah. But there still are examples of colonial and federal and
That,
Greek Revival and Victorian influenced. That stick-built is almost Eastlake, I think.
Yeah.
I've got to see, you can see it, and it's interesting because you look at it, and people today that have been watching home building shows and all of that are going to think that it's craftsman, but it's really, it predated craftsman style, and it had more ornamentation to it than craftsman. But it was the same idea that you saw the structural piece of the building in the front. And it's interesting.
You were trying to get away from all that ornate stuff. It was a cleaner, more angular look.
they're also going to with the Queen Anne and all that stuff. But anyway,
Well, have at it. Wander up there and you tell me, and then I'll
You
see
got a
if
map?
it works with my thing.
Ed, but could I back up for a minute and go back to
Yep.
finances?
Yep.
We are gonna have to have some kind of an accounting for the next meeting because the fiscal year ends immediately after that. We've gotta figure out what we've got left.
I have it.
You have?
Yeah,
okay.
I have the detail. So we can go over.
Do we,
And
do
'cause
we
I
gonna
need
have
to
to come
go-
up with a spending program or?
No,
God
these
forbid
are,
We should turn it back.
these are in almost entirely, I've got one account to check to make sure that we're not gonna lose something on it. But most of those are in secure accounts.
Okay.
They're not subject to reversion,
Right.
reversions. Otherwise, they would have been looking for it, trust me. But some of that's left over from document gift preservation and our gift expenses account, which just rolls over year to year. So we're good there.
Did we touch the movement previously on the National Register application? We've had a little bit of movement on that out of Boston recently.
No, all right, let me finish the walking tour.
Okay.
I'm hoping to have this brochure ready for Strawberry Festival. It's a good time to hand them out, but we're gonna have the people there. If that doesn't happen, the next shot's gonna be the Oktoberfest. And the good news there is we have received the Melza grant. So we will have our crafters
Yes, we will. I've talked to them all.
Yeah,
6 said yes, or at least are very interested. The Potter unfortunately has a wedding that day and will not be here, but I will, not necessarily with a Potter, but I will try to bring in a 7th
yeah.
for the event. Should be pretty much the same as last year. I have a request, which I formally wrote out for you.
Okay.
I want a pair of signs printed on both sides that say what's on that piece of paper.
All right. For the day of?
The object is twofold. One is to fulfill our, one of our advertisement obligations to the Malls Trust.
Right.
Those 2 signs will be placed, one on each end of the row. And the second is to identify, which I think is important, at least in my mind, identify who is sponsoring these people and who is not.
Mhm.
So I'm requesting that those signs get made, and they don't have to be expensive. There are no dates on them, so they can be used. If this event goes on a 3rd year, they can be reused 3rd year, 4th year.
Okay.
You know, they're just
No dates.
no dates, just the demonstration sponsored by the Dudley Historical Commission, funded by a grant from the Janet Melzer Humanities Trust.
No,
Covers
it's-
our obligations, and I think it's better than a part handwritten sign like we had last year. We'll look a little bit more
There's
professional.
something primitive about a handwritten sign.
There's something primitive about the demonstrations, but I don't
Right.
think that's necessarily a good thing. At least the demonstration may be the
Maybe
sign
what
note.
we need to do is hire somebody to do the hear ye and announce it every half hour. That would be fun too.
I can think of somebody.
You can think of somebody? No. I have enough to do.
Thank you. All right, so that's going to be October. Jumping back now to the Historic District, we did know that Boston asked the latest consultant to revise some things. And that was, what, 2 months ago now?
Okay.
3 months ago. And he did that quickly. So now we know it is back in Boston's hands.
There was a twitch of life there, and they've been moribund for a number of years.
It was better than what we had before, which was no information.
Yeah,
We do understand that there's some changes in that division, department, or whatever. From what I can see online, it hasn't changed any of the people, though, that we were dealing
with.
with, so I don't know what that meant. Did it mean that some of their vetting people left? Possibly, I don't know.
You're gonna live longer than Dick Clark, you know that, don't you?
It's just,
And they're always.
they're pushing their luck with us, Mike. I don't know if we'll be here for it. We better. Hey, I'm planning on being here for the tercentennial now, so.
Good luck.
At least they can't move the date on us.
Jeez.
You'll have to let them out of the home to attend.
Hey.
Hey, whatever.
Okay, any other questions on the Historic District? Or the Oktoberfest? Nope.
Tell me about the Oktoberfest.
What about it? We don't know. It will be the first, is it the first weekend?
It's October 5th.
Yeah, first
So
Saturday.
as far as I know, it's always going to be the first Saturday of the month.
Yeah.
What will change is, from what I'm told this year, it is not Columbus Day weekend.
Yeah. And the Black Tavern will be having their craft fair, which will include crafters in the barn, on the property, and on the town common. Our Mal's or Grant crafters will be on the town common again. There was ample space last year to do that, and I think we'll be fine.
It'll be good.
We can even get a few more Tavern Crafters on there if we needed to. I don't know what the sign-up's like.
The best one was the state building the road when we had our fair. It was like
Oh, yeah.
building the Burma Road.
The Mud Fest.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a question.
We are long past that one. We actually have some decent grass growing now.
I have just a question. Is there a barrier on the common where we can no longer move further south? In other words, the little ring road that goes around the common in front of the church.
That-
If we tried to move past that onto what I think Nichols would view as Nichols' property, but which is still
we
town
would-
common?
It used to be the town common.
Okay.
It is now property of Nichols. We could request
Oh.
if we ever got to that point,
We're getting close to it.
yeah.
I mean, we could put another row in.
We can get another row in, and that covers a lot, you know. But down the road, and it also depends on what Nichols is doing on that weekend. Sometimes they're having homecoming or other events, but a lot of that now is held in the south end of their campus.
Mhm.
And
Or on the athletic field.
actually, parents coming up for homecoming, some of them like to go to something else beside just the game. So if the crafters are out early, they go, okay, we can go up here and shop. You know how it is. So we'll see. Don't have to worry about it this year. We are not crushed like that. All right, the Tercentennial Committee proposal. I've talked to a couple of people just generally, and what I think we should consider having a subcommittee that we work with, not trying to start a town committee yet. I think it's way too early to start a town committee. But I want to bring in a few people that have expressed interest, that would be interested in a specific aspect of a centennial event, and get them thinking. Just general meetings, maybe 3 or 4 times a year, kind of shift around, say, what about this, what about that idea building, and over the next 2 years, then start to devise the committee structure that would go forward, and then that would handle the last 6 or 7 years of the period. I know it's a long period, but it isn't if you're doing certain events. The other thing we need to do is reach out to Webster, because this will be their 200th. And they started as part of us, so
yeah.
I gotta now talk to them. Every time I turn around, there's another issue. And did I tell you about the problem I had with the founding fathers, founding families?
No.
We know who the males were. We don't know what the female lines were.
You mean the maiden names?
Yeah.
Any kind of a
Yeah,
name.
who they were from home.
Well, I mean,
Some of them are listed.
Wait, he's ready.
no, I'm just thinking that it could be done.
I think it's a project.
I'm just thinking that it will have holes in it, because the further you go back in time, the more porous the historic records are, but if you knew where the original settlers come from, then you know where to look for their marriage records.
Yeah.
If you want to sit down and slog your way through all the marriage bands,
Well, we got
you would get some, but you
We got
wouldn't get them all.
birth, death, and marriage records, and all of those tell you parentage
Right.
and whatever. It needs to be done for that very specific group that was culled out in
You talking about the names on the monument?
1732, yeah. That group had to have been in town or arrive in town during that 1-year period, the first year of the town's organization, they got included as founding families. So if you came 2 years later,
Doesn't
sorry.
matter. Are you looking for basically a genealogy for that specific year,
Yes. Just
plus
for
previous?
just what we'll have to do, I think, is just take the male names and go to those families. Now, you get a Healy, and you've got 3 male Healys, so you may have other females, so there could be 3 more female Healys involved in the deal. See how big it's getting?
But you can also have 3 male Healys with the same damn first name,
Yes, you could.
and you'll never figure out
No,
whose
no,
wife is
but
whose.
on the monument, it's just the last name. That was the family name.
If you start doing genealogies, last name's not gonna get you far.
I know,
You need the first names.
yeah.
And
I
I'm
don't-
I'm betting.
not worried about first names. If you can see in a marriage record that Joe Healy married Sarah somebody,
Yeah,
and they have her name, there we are, it's done. We know who it is. Or
and their
if
children were
if
born
the
in what years?
parents were Joe Healy and his wife Sarah, that's not enough. We need to go back and find out who Sarah was.
That's where it's gonna be hard.
Yeah.
Um,
So there's work to be done there, but I think it's
Has anybody looked at the
interesting work.
town records of the town of Dudley? Not the genealogical records, but the town meeting records, to see if there's any information in there?
I had gone through that originally just to get the name, but for the family name. Those were always men.
That's okay. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a place to start.
But that's how we got the original 30-something. And so that's our core group. But my concern is, are there 3 Healys in here, 3 Healy brothers or whatever, or cousins, or Healy became the name, but how many women are dropped off? We've got to figure out that.
My wife was doing genealogy on Colonel Cheney from West Dudley.
Yeah.
She found a family genealogy of his family line. They came from Chelsea. And she found 8 consecutive generations of Cheneys.
With the same name.
They called themselves by the same name. I think it was Charles. There were
But
8
that was the
Charles.
problem. They baptized them the same name, and they gave them another name
A lot of times.
to work a workaround,
Or gave them a number.
So it is difficult to do, but then you're down to the dates. Charles Cheney of
Tough
this
stuff.
date, and Charles Cheney of that date. It's
That's small.
It's not easy, but it's, again, something a committee
I'll be for you in the next meeting.
could work with. And I think it would be fun for a change. It's a way to recognize the women that came to this town.
When Linda was doing the first house in Dudley, that timeline, there were so many people with the same name, she had to start using different colored inks for whoever she was trying to write about, otherwise she'd go out of her mind.
Mm-hmm. And that's universal.
Yep.
I mean, almost all the names are biblical, and you can read through the Bible as often as you want. You're not gonna come up with a really
It's a
large
fatal
assortment
lack
of
of
names.
imagination, 8 generations with the same first name.
Still
It
happens.
was easy.
Still happens.
Hey, don't tell my son he's got mine here.
Good for Dennis Pruse in my family.
We would just change out the middle names. That would be it.
We did that too. All right.
All right, so anyway, those are some of the thorny issues that we're going to have to deal with as we go forward with that. Preservation projects, nothing immediately happening. We will check with Ora to make sure we've wrapped up whatever we needed to do for this year. And then
I think she said we are.
everything's tucked away and done. And we'll get this made up into some form that can be placed in these documents so that people understand from whence this goodness flowed. All right. Member concerns? Boy, everyone's mute. All right, let me tell you about an event. Life aboard a whaling ship, which is going to be this Thursday evening, the tavern. And that's Thursday the 16th. Reading it through here, I can do that. Should be fun. This presenter is, according to the everything, spellbinding. Sounds like those old formats you'd get on I don't know, a light pole, taped up. Spellbinding! But she's going to talk about the 3.5-year voyage of Mary Chipman Lawrence aboard the whaling ship Addison, 19th century. So if you are going to this, folks, it's in the tavern, not in the barn. We had hoped to have it in the barn, but it's obviously too chilly to have it in the barn this week. It's in the tavern. Get there well before 7, because seating will be
About 50.
very limited, difficult.
And this is being advertised in the Last Green Valley, so people
It's
do come up.
advertised widely.
This will, people do come
How's the
up.
attendance at the American Optical?
We had good attendance, about 40-ish people. It was fascinating. I was surprised. A lot of information. You think, oh, the AO. You don't realize how these local companies to us are so internationally linked in. And now I'll have to give Dick Whitney credit. He's running the place, or the exhibit and everything. He's hung on to all this stuff that he could over the years when no one really cared. No one knocked on his door. And now there's been a resurgence of interest in the history behind a lot of this optical stuff. So finally, it's beginning to bear fruit, which is good.
When I was in the service in the 60s, AO had the contract for just about every optical glass, lens, gas mask, insert, you name it. They had the whole contract for the armed forces.
They also
I
had
thought,
the,
what a contract that was.
they also had the contract for almost every single microscope and every single science laboratory and every single high school in the United States.
Mm.
And that's gone too.
And we just thought it was a place for somebody to work. Where do you work?
Over
The Hale.
3,000.
Yeah.
Historical note, Southbridge, Massachusetts is the only place, as far as I know in the world, where the laws of the Rotary were reversed at 3:30 p.m. so that people entering the Rotary had right of way, just to get the traffic out of Lansdale.
Yeah.
Little historic note for Historic Commission.
So it was a fun program from that perspective that we forget, just because we lived through a piece of it. We had, we were little kids. Our eyes were focused elsewhere.
On the Red and the River,
Yeah.
Friday night.
All right.
Move to adjourn.
Second?
Second.
All in
Second.
favor?
Aye.
We're out of here, folks. Thank you.
At 7:15.
7:14, 7:15?